What is up, movie buffs? Row Show Movie Reviews. In today's review, I'm going to be giving you another installment of the Friday the 13th series. This is my opinion and honest breakdown of Friday the 13th Part 3, or to some of you, 3D. Now, as always, quick disclaimer, if you haven't seen Friday the 13th Part 3, please stop the video, go and watch that movie, and then if you want to come back and watch or finish the review, please do. But I don't want to ruin anything for you as far as the storyline, the characters, Jason himself, the kills, the ending. So if you haven't seen the movie, please go and watch that movie and then come back to the review should you choose to do so. For those of you that have, I'm going to be giving you my honest breakdown of this movie as I've done with every movie in the series, and will continue to do so until I finish these series. Getting into Friday the 13th Part 3, for me, this movie is in the upper echelon, right? This movie to me is on the Mount Rushmore, right? The top 4 movies, the top third in the Friday the 13th series. And I'm going to give you my reasons why. I like the characters in this movie. I'm a big fan of Shelley as the comic relief. I like Vera and her kind of, she's hot, but, still kind of sensitive and nice. Chris, obviously, with her story and background, Rick being, kind of the love interest, Andy and Debbie being, friends of Vera, and obviously the motorcycle gang of Ollie, Loco, and Fox, I think, add a kind of cool element to this movie. Not like they have a huge part in it, but I think that, what they bring is kind of cool and unique. Obviously, Richard Brooker as Jason Voorhees, I think he does a great job in this movie. So getting into, more detail of this movie. So this movie takes place, obviously, after Part 2. Guinea was supposed to come back in Part 3, and she's supposed to be, I guess, in like an asylum or something, and Jason was supposed to kind of hunt her and track her down there. Obviously, she decided not to do the movie. She said she thought she was going to get some different roles and kind of explode and didn't want to do these movies. And then, much like a lot of people who turned down movies in this series, later went on to regret it. So they had to come up with a new kind of storyline and whatnot. This is supposed to take place literally the next day after Part 3. It opens up and we see Jason kind of walking around this like kind of mini convenience store where these people live. There's a really cool scene where, the wife of Harold, I can't think of her name off the top of my head, honestly, right now. It'll come to me, of course, when the movie's over or the video's over. But, she's looking outside after hearing, on the television that there were some ghastly murders that happened close by. And, she's getting freaked out. So she looks out and she's calling out for Harold. And she sees somebody walking through, the clotheslines and whatnot, thinks it's Harold. But in all reality, it's Jason himself. He's wearing the overalls from Part 2. And then there's like, the pants and the green shirt are right there on the clothesline. And the next scene we see they're missing. So that ends up being where he gets the clothes from. He changes clothes, which is kind of a cool, unique little, thing if you catch it. I know I've talked to some fans that have, seen the movie 100 times and never noticed that. And so I'll point that out and they'll be like, no way. And then they watch it and they're like, holy shit, you're right. So that's just kind of a cool little touch and detail there. Harold, the character of him, he's kind of unique. He's like a, smaller looking Ron Jeremy dude. But, for the 5 minutes that he's on screen, I really, enjoy, his presence on screen. He gets, the cleaver to the chest. His wife gets the crocheting needles through the head, and that's that. And then, we go into Chris and her friends going to pick up Vera, and they bring their buddy Shelley along, and she's supposed to be his date, and, it just obviously doesn't work right off the bat. So they start driving to Higgins Haven, which is a cabin I owned by, Chris's family, and they all start smoking weed in the van, and then the police start coming up behind them, and a really kind of funny scene is they think that they're going to pull them over, so they start shoveling in and start eating eating the weed, and then the cops drive right by him. So just kind of a funny little thing there. They show up, and they're all unloading, and Chris gets into the house, and they want you to think that Jason's grabbing her already this early in the movie. Come to find out, it's a guy named Rick, who is like a former love interest or friend of Chris's from the past, who helps out at the family barn, the family farm. And she's kind of standoffish because she says, I need to get to know this place, let me get to know you again. So we obviously know something happened to her. Fast forward to her telling a story to Rick, and we find out that she fell asleep in the woods some time ago, and Jason tried to attack her, and she woke up in her bed and things like that, and her parents wouldn't talk about it. So we kind of find out that that's kind of the tie to Jason in this. So what's cool about this movie to me is that I'm a big fan, as I've said in previous videos, of atmosphere, of like location. To me, if you can make an atmosphere or a location resonate or memorable, or make it kind of its own character, if you will, in a movie, I think that is something that's at least more appealing to me. And I'm a big fan of Higgins Haven and the barn, and how they kind of shoot the whole thing. I'm really a big fan of that. I think a problem with some of the continuity in Friday the 13th is that all these different locations are supposed to be on or around Crystal Lake, and none of them look the same, right? This one is like a house with a barn. In part 7, it's like the Shepherd house and then the house next door. But in part 6, it's Camp Forest Green and all these different cabins. And so there's a little bit of continuity issue. And I think that, that obviously isn't done, because they're trying to confuse us or make things difficult. I think it's because, these movies were so, popular. I mean, most of these people who signed on to play in these movies didn't even know they were doing a Friday the 13th movie until they showed up, on set. And I think that they had to, move locations, and they had to name the movie weird names so that, fans and people wouldn't come and try and see what was going on, or kind of scout out the locations. So, again, an issue, but, to Friday the 13th fans, to people like me, not really that big of a deal. Shelly and Vera obviously go to the convenience store on Rick's B-Dub. There's the famous scene where, Vera's trying to play with food stamps, and the cashier says, we don't take no food stamps. And then she asks Shelly to throw him the wallet, and, obviously it falls short, and a lady picks it up who ends up, being a member of this motorcycle gang named Fox, and they have this kind of exchange, and then Shelly gets pissed off about it and runs their motorcycles over. They later stalk them and find out where they're at, try to siphon gas out of the van, and then start messing around in the barn, and Jason kills Fox with a pitchfork, to the neck, and pins her against the board up in the barn. Loco gets basically the same thing in the chest. Ollie fights with him. We think he gets killed by Jason. Then he kind of pops up at the end. So just kind of a cool element that they kind of bring, even though they're not in the movie a whole lot. The kill of Andy in this movie is one of the most memorable and vicious of the entire series. He's walking on his hands, and he looks up, and bam, he just gets like split in half by Jason. Really vicious looking kill on camera. Another really famous kill is, Rick coming outside and Jason grabbing his head and squeezing his head, and his eye popping out in 3D. Vera getting the harpoon through the eye, and that's the first time on screen in the series that we see Jason with the famous hockey mask. He gets that from Shelly, so Shelly plays a big part, not only in this movie but in the history and the chronological universe here of Friday the 13th, and being the one that Jason gets the famous hockey mask from. This movie does have some slow parts in it. It's not as high-paced as some of them. It doesn't really bother me that much, but I know that some people say, part 4 is better because of this and this and this. I like part 4 as well. I'll give that, obviously do my breakdown of that movie. But they're just things that I like about this movie, that, you know, are a little bit more than maybe that one personally. Obviously that could change, obviously, due to my, you know, mood, or you know, what I'm in the mood to see. But, you know, I'm a big fan of this movie. I really like it. It's one of the ones that, you know, I will go to if I'm in the mood to watch a Friday the 13th movie. And that is for all of the reasons I said. I think Richard Bricker does an awesome job as Jason Voorhees in this movie, as, you know, kind of a bigger hulking character. I like a lot of, you know, his intensity in the kills. And, you know, one thing I like that Steve Miner does in this movie is that, much like the first movie, like, we didn't know who the killer was. It was a lot of, like, you know, POV type stuff, and it kind of, you know, just kind of off camera type thing. And Jason really, until, you know, the end of the movie, is really just kind of, or halfway through the movie, is really just kind of off screen and just kind of lurking in the background, which kind of gives it a creepy, eerie feeling that, you know, something's there, or you know, somebody's watching you or whatnot. So, you know, I like that aspect of the movie as well. I'm a big fan, obviously, of the theme song, right? It's that kind of disco. Some people have called it like a porn theme, but it's like a disco theme. Wow, 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 wow. Boom, 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 boom. You know, it's got that kind of really catchy beat to it. I think, along with, like, He's Back, Man Behind the Mask, and Darkest Side of the Night from Part 8, you know, are really probably the top 3, you know, most famous kind of songs, if you will, in the series. So I think that movie obviously has that going for it, and that's a huge, you know, positive as well. So, you know, I'm just a huge fan of this movie. There's not too much I like. I think maybe if you were to say, hey, you know, it's a little bit slow at times, okay, you know, it's just a recycled version of Part 2. Okay, well, you can say the same thing about Part 3 or Part 4, right? So, you know, to each their own. But again, I'm a huge fan of this movie. I think it's in the upper echelon of the series. I highly suggest it to people. If you haven't watched it, please go watch it. It's a great movie. You know, great characters. Richard Brooker's great. You know, seeing Jason with the hockey mask on for the first time is cool. It's got a lot of memorable kills in it. A great, you know, opening theme and opening theme song. So that's my take on Part 3. You know, let me know in the section below what you think, where you rate this movie, what you think about the movie, likes, dislike. You know, if there's something that, you know, you liked or disliked about my breakdown or review, maybe something I missed or something I didn't know. That's always cool. Like I said, I'm not looking for anybody to agree with me, especially agree with me 100%. I think that would be boring. But I like open dialogue and conversation. You know, again, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying it's the word, you know, or that you have to feel the way or see things the way that I see them. It's just my personal opinion. So if you liked the video, thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. Subscribe to the channel if you want. Like I said, I'm going to be breaking down all of these movies in the series, doing some different videos on who I think is the best looking female character in each movie, ranking the masks, ranking the men to play Jason. So I'm going to have a lot of fun with this series over the next couple weeks. So I hope you'll, you know, tune in for those videos and be on the lookout for that. So subscribe to the channel if you want. And until next time, movie buffs, I'm out of here.